story appears ordinary until you see the core side of it.
And what you're looking for is the story behind the news.
We bring it to you from Lagos, the commercial capital of Nigeria.
Giving you all sides and political stories round the clock.
Every detail from the start line to the final whistle.
CoreTv News, expanding your view.
Hello everyone, I am Nifemi Oguntoye with the CoreTv News this hour. The Kaduna State government has imposed a 24-hour curfew on the metropolis in the aftermath of two bomb attacks. Governor Ramalan Yero said in a statement that this is to enable security agencies restore normalcy after what he described as the height of cowardice by those bent on creating tension in the state. He added that the fact that the blasts occurred during Ramadan showed that those behind them have no fear of God and the sanctity of human life. Governor Yero said despite the success recorded in improving security in Kaduna State, more still needs to be done to ensure safety of the people. Meanwhile, in a related issue, former head of state and a chieftain of the All Progressives Congress, Muhammadu Buhari, narrowly escaped the second blast as a suicide bomber targeted his convoy, hauling the explosive device on it. CoreTv News learned that one of the cars in the convoy was badly damaged while the Prado Jeep conveying the former head of state was touched. His bodyguards and escorts had to move Buhari from his car into another to take him away. Another version says the suicide bomber who rode in the Sienna car rammed into the convoy of the former head of state. More than 50 cars were damaged in the second blast. According to the eyewitness, most of the people that died in the first blast were adherents of the Darika Islamic sect led by Sheikh Dahiru Bauchi. Eyewitness says the lone bomber, whose target was the Sheikh, rode on the motorbike and followed the convoy of the Islamic cleric after the lecture. He was reportedly overpowered by security operatives who blocked him after he was suspected. He forced his way and detonated the explosive, throwing the entire area into serious confusion. However, the explosion only affected the tail end of the Sheikh Bauchi's convoy, but others were not so lucky and died in the process. Many of the corpses were conveyed to the Nigerian Army Reference Hospital in the metropolis and other hospitals in the state. Nigeria's military authorities have declared the technician of the ill-fated Air Force helicopter is missing in action. This comes on a day a video surfaced online that purportedly shows Boko Haram insurgents beheading an airman. Defense headquarters said in a statement that the technician was declared missing in action because his body has not been recovered from the crash scene in Bauchi State. It added that only one body, that of the co-pilot, has so far been recovered, while the other was rescued alive. Rescue teams are said to be searching the vicinity for the missing technician, who is the third crew member of the helicopter that crashed a few days ago. Defense headquarters claimed that the Mi-35 chopper crashed due to a technical fault during a training mission. There is no independent confirmation of the air mishap, but there are suggestions that insurgents may have shut down the helicopter. President Goodluck Jonathan has assured parents of the kidnapped Chibok schoolgirls that they would be brought back alive. This was part of the promises he personally made during a long-drawn meeting with the parents and about 50 girls who escaped from insurgents.
These are the girls who escaped on the day Boko Haram insurgents stormed their school in April this year. One after the other, they filed into the presidential villa for a meeting with President Jonathan. They were accompanied by some of the parents of their colleagues who have spent more than 3 months in captivity. A handful of cabinet members joined the president as well as the governors of Borno and Bauchi State. Journalists were barred from the meeting, which lasted more than 5 hours. So it was left to the presidential spokesman to give an insight into what he described as a frank session.
The president reassured them of the federal government's determination and his personal determination to ensure that the girls that are still in captivity are brought out alive. He made it clear that is the main objective of the government. Mr. President also used the opportunity to empathize with the parents, with the girls, and to reassure them that everything will be done to make things easier for them, particularly the ones that have already escaped and the ones that will also be rescued. Mr. President assured them that their education will not in any way suffer, and that after all of this has had a happy ending, because he believes, he is convinced that evil will never prevail over good.
Some of the ministers who were in the meeting are also convinced that the Chibok girls will soon be reunited with their parents and colleagues.
To some of the girls that were able to escape from Sambisa forest, or those of them that escaped even on the first day they were abducted. And I think the parents were happy to have listened to Mr. President, assuring them of the commitment of government, assuring them of the determination of government to rescue the abducted girls, and in particular assuring those of them that are now home with their parents on the continuation of their education and continued protection of lives and properties in those communities.
Yeah, essentially, the expectation of the average Nigerian is the release of the girls. But there must be foundations for the release of these girls. While this thing cannot be done almost immediately, while efforts are being put in place, there is equally a need for Mr. President to reassure the people that are directly involved and Nigerians that government is doing everything that is necessary to release these girls. And I can assure you that from various reports that are coming in, and Mr. President knows much more than any other person knows in this country about this situation, the release of these girls will be a matter of time.
One of the governors also provided a different perspective.
What the presidency was aware of was certainly, yes, the insurgents have gone into the school, gone into the village, picked students and picked some women too. So to say that it is belated, that the government didn't know about it until now, I think that is very unfair. Rushing to, rescue them might lead to, some casualties, which is why government is taking time, going solo, so that by the grace of God, we'll get all the girls in peace, not in pieces.
More than 200 people attended the meeting from Chibok, including 51 of the 57 girls who escaped from insurgents. But none of them was prepared to share details of their interaction with the president.
An associate fellow of the Henry Jackson Society and the Jamestown Foundation, Jacob Zen, cites former U.S. Secretary of State Hillary Clinton misled President Barack Obama on the enormity of the threat of Boko Haram. The situation, he says, stopped America from coming to Nigeria's aid before the insurgency got out of hand. Zen made this allegation in this report exposing and defeating Boko Haram, while the West must unite to help Nigeria defeat terrorism, which was released by the Bao Group on Tuesday. He said the U.S. only labeled Boko Haram and its offshoot Ansaru as of November 13, 2013, after Clinton's departure from office, making it a crime for Americans to provide material support to the group and enabling banks to freeze U.S. assets of the terrorists. He further alleged the Boko Haram received finances from domestic actors who opposed President Jonathan and foreign sponsors who want to see Nigeria divided and Western economic interests attacked. More than 2 million people from areas affected by Boko Haram insurgency are now taking refuge in Bauchi State. Governor Issa Yuguda disclosed this on the sidelines of Tuesday's meeting in Abuja with members of the Chibok community. He added that the state's resources are now overstretched by the refugee situation.
Well, as for the refugees, it's a major challenge. Bauchi is surrounded by states that has security challenges, and many refugees are flocking into Bauchi. Presently, we have over 2 million refugees in Bauchi, but the good news is that we've been able to settle them down. No refugee is in any camp. They've all been resettled in some, gotten land for them to resettle, some shelter for them. try as much as possible to provide water and some basic facilities so that they can start life all over again. So it has not been easy. Our resources are overstretched because the little we have has to, be shared with the refugees.
So is there any assistance from any quarters on that?
Well, we are looking forward to support. Only of recent, anyway, we had some, some items from NEMA, who provided us with some blankets, some food items, and we need more. We need a lot more. But by the grace of God, I believe the refugee issue, because I am sure these guys are not going back where they came from. They have settled and settled permanently. So I think the federal government is going to take up that and see how they can be properly resettled.
The Federal Road Safety Corps now has a new helmsman following the appointment of Osita Chidoka as Aviation Minister. His Deputy Corps Marshal Baboyo Oyeyemi, a foundation staff of the agency. President Jonathan explained that Oyeyemi was elevated to the position in order to build confidence in the institution.
The history of road safety from the inception, I think 1988 or so, about 26 years ago, the succession has not been very stable. The pioneer Corps Marshal, quite naturally, will come from outside the system because there was no road safety then. But from then up to the last one, Osita, who is living today, was brought from Mobile to sit over the affairs of the road safety. But that shows that that institution has never been stable. And for a nation, for us to progress, we must build institutions. We'll try to build stable institutions. And we really want also a vacancy in that place because it's a paramilitary service. We can delay in some other civilian institutions. So for today, we are appointing Deputy Corps Marshal Oyeyemi Olokomi to take over from now.
Honorable Minister for Aviation, Osita Chidoka Wefa, for his support in the appointment as the Corps Marshal. And we give thanks to God, to the management staff, and all the Nigerians for believing, having faith in us, as Mr. President has said, that the Corps has come of age. And we thank God for all this. And to the nation, the charge has been given, it will not fail. The foundation has been laid, we build on it, we continue. We continue on the transformation through the Federal Road Safety Corps to build a good nation. I will not fail Nigerians.
Members of the Nassarawa State House of Assembly have directed the Chief Judge of the state to set up a 7-man panel to investigate Governor Tanko Amakura. The lawmakers, who had been in Abuja for several days, moved down to Lafia on Wednesday and almost immediately passed the resolution. The motion was moved by Majority Leader Godiya Akwashiki and seconded by Babai Bakwu. Speaker Musa Mohammed, who presided over the session, subsequently ordered the Chief Judge to constitute a 7-member panel. Meanwhile, Governor Amakura, who has also returned to Lafia, has been holding meetings with traditional rulers with a view to staving off the impeachment drive. After the successful impeachment of the former governor of Adamawa State, Murtala Nyako, reports of impeachment threats are beginning to rise across the country. Rashid spoke with some leaders of the All Progressives Congress who outrightly blamed the ruling People's Democratic Party for the troubles of some APC governors.
The news lately is centered on the impeachment fever that is gradually gripping some sitting governors. The most affected are the All Progressives Congress. Adamawa State Governor Murtala Nyako was successfully impeached by the State House of Assembly. The tension has now shifted to Nassarawa State, where Tanko Amakura is facing impeachable charges. But the Oyo State Governor Abiola Ajimobi, reportedly being on impeachment radar, however debunked such rumor as shallow and unfounded.
It was just a ruse. It was just a cheap publicity. It can never happen. Tell me, remember I say so. It can never happen. I'm going to win second time. No impeachment.
Another APC chieftain and a 7th senator, Sholade, using the Adamawa drama as a case study, says the impeachable offenses allegedly committed by Murtala Nyako is also being committed by President Goodluck Jonathan.
The principal allegation against Governor Nyako was that he spent money that had not been budgeted for. A week before they pronounced that impeachment, the Nigerian Senate debated a report that showed that our own president spent billions of naira that were never budgeted for.
A pro-democracy activist and APC stalwart Amito Lushito says every impeachment act is a call to political instability in the country, orchestrated by the PDP-controlled central government.
Illegal removal of Adamawa State governor. The consciousness of people in Adamawa, they wake it up. And those in Nassarawa will not sleep again. The Mr. President will wake up the consciousness of the people in Benin. And the whole nation will engulf with crisis. For God's sake, is that not a threat to democracy?
A former speaker of the Osun State House of Assembly, Majid Alabi, however, called on all stakeholders involved to make a recourse on impeachment cases for the sake of Nigeria's nascent democracy.
The impeachment process is put in the Constitution as a mechanism of the legislature to put the governors in check, not to be used as a mechanism of vendetta. It is not to be used as an instrument to use the legislature to win them into taking action that are at variance with the popular wish of the mandate of the people. And that is why we must caution whoever, whether as an individual or as group that are behind this thing, that they should tread softly, because eventually the spate of impeachment without following the due process of the Constitution may consume the entirety of the democracy, and everyone will have him or herself to blame.
Some observers say the rampant cases of impeachment threats across the country is a strategy adopted by politicians to clinch power in the 2015 general elections. Rashid, CoreTv News, Ejibo.
The military has been urged to refrain from any act that would undermine the current democratic experience in the country. Lagos State Governor Babatunde Fashola gave the advice while hosting the Chief of Army Staff, Kenneth Minima, at the State House Marina. Fashola says professionalism is needed to combat the current security challenges facing the nation.
The military then owes an obligation to do everything that is possible, to sustain the democracy, and to refrain from doing anything that undermines it, whether in the minds of the people or as a matter of fact. This institution has done very well for Nigeria as a body, but there are, like every institution, every family, there are bad eggs within the institution. They are in the minority, and we must continue to do everything possible to show them up for who they are.
The police authorities are working on building one 26-bed hospital in each of the 6 geopolitical zones of the country. Inspector General of Police Mohammed Abubakar discussed this on the sidelines of a 3-day medical seminar for the police in Abuja. This, according to him, will ensure that all police personnel have access to quality healthcare services. Per Samuel has details.
We are building 26-bed cottage hospital in each geopolitical zone of Nigeria. So in essence, which means everybody has the opportunity, and there is no command today you can talk about without a medical facility, no matter how small it is. So if you have in 36 states, and we have one in each of the political zones, it makes sense that we are making efforts, and we'll get there one day.
The World Bank says the disparities between southern and northern parts of Nigeria is on the rise. It specifically says in its newly released Nigeria Economic Report that the southwest is the most advantageous position with fewer poor people, while the situation in the northeast is getting worse. The bank, however, insists that Nigeria has a positive economic outlook aside from recording some progresses in poverty reduction.
It's the second edition of the Nigeria Economic Report put together by the World Bank. The focus is on microeconomic situation and trends, but a major part of it is devoted to poverty in Nigeria. The bank notes that the country now has a larger and more diversified economy than previously thought.
The size of GDP, which is 2013 equivalent to the U.S. $509 billion, makes Nigeria the 26th largest country in the world and economy in the world, and is 61% higher than the estimate in 2010, which is the base year, than the previous estimate, all the way to 2013, where the estimate is 89% higher than the previous estimate. The distribution of growth is also much more diverse, with higher contributions from manufacturing and various services relative to previous estimates. Previous estimates assigned the majority of growth, 80% of growth, to trade, agriculture, and to telecommunications.
The authors of the report are, however, puzzled that in spite of its size and wealth, Nigeria has a high poverty rate. Particularly of concern to the bank is the gap between the north and the south.
Disparities between the north, very, very strong disparities between the south and the north, and particularly the northeast and northwest, and that these disparities actually appear to be increasing. We have poverty rates that range from 16% in the southwest all the way to 52% in the northeast. And while the south and also north central experienced declines in the poverty rate between 2010, 2011, and the 2012-2013, the poverty rate actually increased in the northeast, and it's remained almost unchanged in the northwest.
The World Bank puts Nigeria's unemployment rate at less than 10%, but says underemployment is the real problem.
But most Nigerians are doing something, right? So they are technically working. The problem is that a large share of the population is engaged in low productivity, low paying tasks. There is a shortage of high productivity jobs.
The bank says Nigeria's economic outlook is positive, but wants more attention on improvement in key infrastructure and increased productivity. It also believes that agriculture holds the key to poverty reduction in the northern region alongside improved security, especially in the northeast.
This is Lagos and you're watching CoreTv News this hour. I'll be back shortly with more stories.
CoreTv News now provide a platform for live coverage of political rallies and electioneering campaign from anywhere in Nigeria. Political news stories, political editorial reviews, political discussions, personality profile, People's Parliament from the National, State and Local Government Assembly. Contact us now on 0803-471-8550 or 0803-724-9733. 01453-3407.
Our 24-hour news station. You can now watch CoreTv News live from anywhere in the world on our website www.coretvnews.com. Click on Live TV on our website and watch us live.
And welcome to CoreTv Primetime News.
To follow us on Twitter, click on Twitter icon on our website. On Facebook, click on the Facebook and YouTube to see all our previous news production. You can also watch us live on YouTube. Click CoreTv, leave a space, then News. CoreTv News, our 24-hour news station.
Welcome back. Outside Nigeria, United Nations Chief Ban Ki-moon says Israel and Hamas should halt the spiraling violence in Gaza as they pushed diplomatic efforts to end bloodshed that has killed 620 Palestinians. Following top-level talks in Cairo, the UN chief headed to Israel to deliver his message in person as the 15-day conflict showed no sign of easing. As the conflict entered its third week, neither side showed any sign of willingness to pull back, with Israel refusing to halt its fire without finishing a ground operation to destroy tunnels used by militants for cross-border attacks. Even as the diplomats talked, Palestinian rockets continued to fall on central Israel, prompting United States carrier Delta to indefinitely suspend its flights to the Jewish state over security concerns. And the European Union foreign minister said they believe an arms embargo against Russia needs to be considered after the downing of a Malaysian Airlines plane, widely blamed on pro-Moscow rebels. British Foreign Secretary Philip Hammond said that the tragedy happened because of Russian support for the rebels. An EU leaders summit recommended that the European Union extended sanctions against Russia and Ukraine figures for their role in the crisis, but that the downing of flight MH17 had changed the situation completely, Hammond said. British Prime Minister David Cameron had called on the EU to adopt tougher Phase 3 sanctions and to halt all arms sales to Russia, citing specifically a French contract for 2 helicopter carriers worth 1.2 billion euros. And that ends it. That's our on CoreTv News. I'll be back at 9:45 with the primetime news. Stay with us.